Kofi!
Nobody in the village could explain what happened to Kofi that night. Kofi was the poorest young man in a small African village. He owned nothing but a mud hut and a few worn-out clothes. Yet his heart belonged to one person, the chief's beautiful daughter Amma. When the chief discovered their secret love, he called the entire village together. In front of everyone, he laughed at Kofi. "You!" the chief shouted. "A poor nobody wants to marry my daughter? That will never happen!" The crowd laughed. Kofi stood silent, his face burning with shame. But before sunrise he was gone. No footprints. No goodbye. No trace. Some said he ran away. Others whispered that he had been taken by spirits. And Amma, the girl he loved, was left behind with tears in her eyes and a secret nobody knew. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Before anyone realized it, years had passed since Kofi vanished. But the village never stopped talking about him. Some villagers swore he had died in the deep forests beyond the hills. They claimed wild animals must have gotten him. Others whispered a darker story. They believed evil spirits had taken him away as punishment for daring to love the chief's daughter. Yet one person refused to believe any of it. Every evening, Kofi's mother sat at the village entrance, staring down the dusty road. She waited, and waited, and waited, as if she knew something the rest of the village didn't. 15 years later, on a hot afternoon, the peaceful village was shaken by a sight nobody had ever seen before. A convoy of expensive black cars rolled slowly down the dusty road. Children ran after them. Farmers stopped working. Even the elders came out to watch. When the lead car stopped, a well-dressed man stepped out. His shoes shined. His watch sparkled in the sun. He looked like someone who belonged in a city, not a village. The villagers stared at him in confusion. Nobody recognized him. Then, from across the road, an old woman dropped her walking stick and screamed, "Kofi!" The entire village froze. His mother rushed forward, tears pouring down her face. At that moment, everyone recognized him. And standing in the crowd was the chief who had once mocked him, now old, weak, and struggling to hold on to the respect he once commanded. But Kofi wasn't smiling. He had returned for a reason. And nobody knew what it was. That evening, the villagers gathered around Kofi, eager to hear the story of where he had been for 15 long years. Kofi took a deep breath and began to speak. After leaving the village, he crossed dangerous lands where many people gave up and turned back. He worked wherever he could find work, on farms, at construction sites, and in crowded markets. Some nights, he slept hungry. Other times, people he trusted betrayed him and stole what little he had. There were moments when loneliness nearly broke him. But every time he thought about quitting, he remembered the chief's words. "You will never marry my daughter." Those words became the fire that pushed him forward. Year after year, Kofi saved every coin he earned. He started a small business. Then another. And another. Slowly, his fortune grew. At last, he had become everything the chief said he could never be. But as the villagers celebrated his success, only one question filled Kofi's heart. What had become of Amma? And after all these years, did she still remember him? As the celebration continued, Kofi's smile slowly faded. There was one question he could no longer keep inside. "Where is Amma?" he asked. The laughter stopped. The music died. A heavy silence settled over the village. Kofi looked from face to face, but nobody spoke. Finally, an elder stepped forward. "Amma waited for you," he said softly. For many years, she refused every man who came to ask for her hand. Kofi's heart began to race. But her family would not allow it forever. They forced her to marry another man. The words hit him like a stone. Then came the truth that shattered him completely. Amma died shortly after giving birth to her first child. Kofi stood frozen. For 15 years, he had fought hunger, loneliness, and hardship. For 15 years, he had chased success, believing it would bring him back to the woman he loved. Now he understood the cruel truth. He had returned with wealth beyond imagination. But the one thing he wanted most was gone forever. And for the first time since returning home, the richest man in the village wept. A man can return with gold in his hands, yet still discover that time stole the treasure from his heart.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment and subscribe to African Tales Unfurled. 2 Game Creatives.